Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about 8 reasons why drivers fail a road test. And this is regardless of class. This is for passenger vehicles, commercial vehicles, buses, and trucks. Welcome to the live stream, Smart Sunday number 24. I think we're up to 24 weeks. We started this and finally got the live stream up to the quality that I wanted it to be. It's actually quite good. I'm quite impressed, and Corey is doing an excellent job in moderating, and I want to congratulate him. And as well, Corey, thanks for showing up, and I will get you caught up tonight, I promise, Corey. Sorry I've been delayed on that. Pablo is here, Ivan is here, Ryan is here. Hi guys, how are you? Everybody doing well? We were delayed coming back from Victoria today due to snow. I came home and actually had 2 hours to shovel out the driveway. Probably had 6 or 7 inches of snow in the driveway when we got home. Big Bunny Boss, he doesn't know anything about snow anymore there in Las Vegas since he moved from Colorado. Big Money Boss, did you manage to get a new computer sorted out? You must have. You're here on the live feed, so that's really great. And it's interesting because down at the bottom of the live feed here, I've got a little statistic. Oh, it jumped from 1 to 26 now, so there's 26 people watching. Yeah, so because of the snow coming back from Victoria back to Kelowna, where I fly into to go to Vernon rather, we circled around for probably 90 minutes before we actually got landed, because they had to plow the runway before we could land. So Big Money Boss, Crixus is here, Peter's here, Carol, Crix is here. Yes sir. Kim Red is here, excellent. I'm just gonna pop over here and I'm just gonna bump the contrast up here a little bit. I'm looking a little pale here. I know it's winter time, but there we go. I think that's gonna help a little bit. So there we go. I think that's gonna help. All right, Tommy, sounds like you're more snow than we do in yeah, we've got a lot of snow here, Tommy. I cannot believe how much snow we have. We're actually, in our driveway here, we're actually running out of room to put the snow. The banks are that high. So we've officially have more than last year. Hi, Frank. Frank is here from Michigan. For those of you who weren't here last year, we learned all about Michigan, and we learned about Yoopers, we learned about trolls, we learned about the mitten, and we learned about the thumb of Michigan, which was really kind of fun. So thanks for all of that, Frank. Caesar, New York, your channel helped me to pass my road test first time. That is really awesome. Congratulations on passing your road test, and certainly enjoy your new freedom. Matt is here. April's Crazy Life, all melted in Ontario. Well, April, you can certainly come out here. We have tons of snow. Randy, I just failed my test. Should have found this sooner. Randy, what was the reason that you were unsuccessful on your road test? Just let me know there in the comments. My mate Tim is here. Yes, basic Joomla tutorials. That's my buddy Tim, who pranked me yesterday on the live feed, because I was at Tim's place when I did the live feed on Saturday, and I did it on my phone. And whatever it is with YouTube, they need to spend more money on their live feed software for their phone, because I couldn't change the thumbnail, and the first thumbnail that I took that some of you may or may not have seen, I looked like I was wanted in 3 states for you know, abusing puppies or something. And anyway, Tim got a hold of that, and he had it on his phone, and we were in the restaurant, and he's going through the restaurant showing it to people. Have you seen this person? Have you seen this person? So that's my buddy Tim. Yes. Layla's here. I passed my driving test a few months ago. Thank you, because your videos helped a lot. That's great. Peaches is here. Michael Gordon is here. Hi there, everyone. And so, as I said in the introduction, we're talking tonight about 8 reasons why you will not be successful on a road test. Some of it you'll have heard before, and some of it will be new for some of you. So if you have any questions. Crixus, no snow in Dubai. What's the weather in Dubai right now? I'd be interested to know that. Mason, I've been watching you for a while. I'm still figuring out to drive and everything. I take it first test. Yes, great. All the snow is melted. Yes. Parallel parking. Yes, D, that is that's a tough one, parallel parking. And I'm going to talk a little bit about parallel parking. I'm going to talk about other slow speed maneuvers and the importance of slow speed maneuvers in terms of taking a road test. You need to understand that for the purposes of passing a road test, regardless of class, one of the things that you need to do is you need to demonstrate to the examiner that you have due care and control of the vehicle, that you can drive the vehicle and you can interpret traffic, you can read traffic patterns, and you can predict what other road users are doing on the roadway and adjust your vehicle and your driving actions accordingly. So that's what you need to do, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And I'll just answer a few questions here if anybody has questions. Bad parallel parking, not being more observant and failing to turn properly. Yes, Randy, and we'll talk all about those errors and how to correct those and how to be how to drive the vehicle better, how to do all of those things and do all the turning and whatnot. Mason, I am not sure about, I don't think that's correct about not parallel parking in California. I'm pretty sure that they do parallel parking in California. And what I'll do is I'll just put that out to the other smart drivers if that's their experience. I'm not going to say that definitively, but I'm pretty sure they do parallel park in California there, okay? Abdul, your videos were great help. I'm not from the US, but your advice helped me to pass it. Not the first try, but still my regards from Siberia. That is brilliant in Siberia. To the side of the road and reverse straight. Yes, Mason, that is a different technique. And there is a video here, Mason, on the channel about doing that, about what you're talking about pulling up beside the curb and then backing along the curb. And the one piece of information that I will give you, the one tip that I'll give you is to stay a little bit away from the curb, like 2 feet, like 24 or 30 inches from the curb. That way you've got a little bit of room to maneuver the vehicle as you're backing up. Because what happens for some people who are unsuccessful in that specific maneuver is they get too close to the curb and then they don't have any wiggle room when they're backing up and they start rubbing the curb, and as soon as you start rubbing the curb, then you're not going to be successful on that particular maneuver for the purposes of your road test in California. All right. Naruto, any tips for perpendicular parking? Yes, Naruto, definitely have a look at the reverse stall parking video here on the channel. That'll give you some tips. But just quickly pull up. You want to pull up so that you're in line with the vehicle beside, and then you want to back around the corner, all the way around the corner, get the vehicle lined up. And you want to sort of pause when you get the back end lined up with the spot that you're going to back into, and you want to look forward, and you want to make sure that your vehicle is straight before you start backing in. As well, keep track of your steering wheel. Know that the steering wheel on any passenger vehicle most of the time pulls 1.5 to 2 turns in either direction. Most of the time it's 1.5 revolutions. So keep track of your steering wheel as well when you're backing up, and that will help you out to back up. And for all of the smart drivers who are learning how to drive, keep track of your steering wheel. Keep track of where it is. That way you'll know when the wheels are straight on your vehicle. The other thing you can do is that when you do get your wheels straight, is you can put a little piece of tape on the top of the steering wheel. That'll serve as a marker of where your steering wheel is. That way you don't have to keep track of the logo in the middle of the in the steering wheel. So that'll help you as well. Okay. Ivan, on Tuesday I have my maneuvers drive. Yes, you're going to do great. That's awesome. Okay, what else we got here? So parallel parking. Quit Tom, I failed my final RTA test 3 times in Dubai. I've been watching a lot of your videos recently. I hope I'm going to pass. Yes, that's great. Yes, if you do the work and you do, employ the maneuvers and techniques that are here on the channel, that'll certainly help you to pass. My understanding from some of the people the smart drivers from Dubai who've been on the channel is oftentimes they're not successful because they don't observe enough. You need to shoulder check, you need to look far down the road, you need to interpret traffic patterns and those types of things. So if you employ all of those techniques, that's going to help you out there in Dubai to pass your road test. Mason, stop signs, 4-way stops. Yes, there's a video here on 4-way stops as well, Mason, so have a look at that. Peter, turning right. Vince, thank you for your videos. You're most welcome. Quit Tom, any tips for 40 kilometers an hour maintaining speed? Yes, look at the speed control video. That'll help you out as well. Just go into a parking lot and fiddle around with the throttle on the vehicle. That'll also help you do that. And then, you know, just going down the road and try and keep it at a steady speed. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be at 40 kilometers an hour, but 50 kilometers an hour, 60 kilometers an hour, whatever speed you can keep it at will help you to do that. As well, just sit in the parking lot and, you know, use the tachometer on the vehicle and try and keep it at 1,000 or 2,000 RPM, whatever, and just try and hold it there, and that will give you a feel for the throttle. Dave is here. Hi, Dave. How are you? Excellent. Rahi, thanks a lot for your great videos. My road test is next month. If I don't have a car to test on, what can I do? Rahi, one of the things you can do is go to a driving school and book lessons with a driving school, and you can use their vehicle for the purposes of your road test. Okay. Prashanth, I am taking my G2 tomorrow morning in Oakville and still not perfect on how to turn left at an intersection, when to move into the intersection, how much. New to Canada. Any suggestions, please? Yes. So, Prashanth, I apologize if I'm not saying your name right. Front steer tires on the front crosswalk line, wait for the gap, make sure that there's a sufficient gap to turn left, and you want to start to turn left when you're in line with the middle of the lane, the last lane before you start to turn left. That's what you want to do. And definitely check out the videos here on the channel about left turning. There's 2 of them there, and Corey will probably find that for you, and that'll help you to turn left and improve that for you, okay? So Crixus, done my parking test. Thanks for your tutorials. Taking my final test soon. Should I check blind spots when I'm entering to main road on test day? Yes, you should. Always, anytime, Crixus, anytime that you're moving the vehicle laterally, anytime that you're turning, anytime you're changing lanes, you always want a shoulder check, you want a head check. Observation, now I'll just repeat this. For those of you who haven't heard me say it before, any road test, regardless of class, whether it's a truck, it's a bus, or a passenger vehicle, comprise 4 components. Speed management, space management, observation, and communication. Those are the 4 fundamentals of any road test. And observation is probably one of the most important, because you have to look, you have to observe. That way you can control space around your vehicle. You have to control space around your vehicle for the purposes of your road test, because when you get near other things, driving examiners are thinking that you're going to hit something. You don't want to be near fixed objects. You don't want to be near other road users. So observe, observe, observe. That's excellent. I did. Sarab. Yes, Sarab, in the reverse stall parking video, have a look at that. Corey put that up there, and as well I go over how to pull into the parking space as well, to drive into the parking space, so that'll help you as well, okay? And there, Corey got the video up on turning left at complex intersections. Intersections, yes, Peter. Sorry about that. Turning right. You want to get slowed down first. And this goes to people who are having difficulties with left turns as well. Make sure that you get your speed slowed down first. That is the biggest challenge that new drivers have in terms of turning the vehicle, is they don't get slowed down first. And for right-hand turns, you want to get slowed down to 10 to 12 miles per hour. You get the vehicle slowed down. If you're driving a manual transmission, you want to get down into the right gear. Most of the time, for those of you in Europe and other places in the world, you want to get down to 2nd gear, and then you keep both hands on the steering wheel, look through the corner to where you want to go. You want to signal approximately half a block before the turn, and then go around the corner, and you're turning the steering wheel. Now, and I tell students to go to specific driving schools and find out whether you can release your grip on the steering wheel, keep your palms in contact with the steering wheel, and just let it slide through your hands. That's one of the things that you can do, or you might have to manipulate it back, depending on the specific policy of the driving authority where you're going to take your road test. Now, the other point that I'll make here is the comments are going pretty quickly here. We have a lot of people on the live stream, so if I didn't get to your question, Super Chat's always available down in the bottom there, and I'll get to your question, or just ask me the question again, because like I said, there's a lot of questions here, and I'm having a tough time getting to all of them. So it's not that I'm ignoring you, it's just that there's a lot of questions here, okay? So, In New York, how many do you have to get right on your permit test? I don't follow the question, Dave. Can you just kind of reword the question for me? Ivan, when I'm turning right at a red light intersection, when is it safe and clear to do? Do I check my right blind spot while I turn or before I start to move the vehicle? Okay, Ivan, when you turn right, you come up, you stop, you got to make sure you've got a sufficient gap, make sure you stop before the stop line and then move out. You might need to move forward so you can see. You may not be able to see the intersection from behind the stop line. And immediately before turning right, you have to shoulder check and make sure that a bicycle or a pedestrian or somebody else didn't slip into your blind spot there between you and the curb, okay? So check that as well. Carol, three-point turns seem to be the hardest. Carol, have you had a look at the video on three-point turns here on the channel? It goes over that pretty well. And one of the other things, Carol, if you're having challenges with three-point turns, I might suggest that you look at the Learning to Drive video and go and get some of those 36-inch tall, 1 meter tall pylons. Go out to the parking lot and work with those as well. And as well, there's also Pass Your Road Test First Time course over at my website, and you can go over there. I'll leave a coupon down in the coupon box there, and you can pick that up for about 28 bucks, and I'm going to actually talk to you a little bit about that after I do the presentation here. Ellie, what video games? Ellie, what I suggest is you actually get in a vehicle and drive. Video games will take you so far because there's just no substitute for practicing in a vehicle. It's kind of like Bruce Lee said in Enter the Dragon, you know, boards not hit back. There's a certain amount you can do in a video game, but there just isn't, you know, it's just not the same. There's a lot of other things. All right, so I am not sure. Okay, there we go. Unable to connect to chat. Please try again later. Okay, so YouTube is having some challenges with their chat tonight. I'm not sure what's going on. So it says unable to connect to chat. Please try again later. Mr. B, Class A. Excellent. Mr. B, that's great that you're going to go for your Class A. Are you in driving school? I'll see if this comes back up. Okay, so what I'm going to do while this is not working is I'm going to flip over to the PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to do that for you, and we'll come back and we'll see whether the comments are back up at that juncture. All right. I'm just looking to see if there's any other questions. Hillary, planning to go on my road test next month in Nebraska. That's awesome, Nebraska. What is important advice for me? Thanks for your videos. Hillary, definitely just stay tuned here, and we'll go through the PowerPoint presentation for you, okay? Okay, so we still don't have any chat here. All right, so I'm gonna flip over to the PowerPoint, or it's actually Keynote. I'm in Mac. All right, so here we go. Okay, we'll get up at the top, get rid of that. Get that. Okay, here we go. PowerPoint. Okay, just bear with me. I'm just getting, we're just about there. There we go. All right, the 8 top reasons why you may not be successful on a road test. And this is probably a romantic version of somebody not being successful at something on their life, or Otis Redding's, you know, sitting on the dock of the bay contemplating life and why you weren't successful. And one of the pieces that I want to emphasize in terms of road tests is that sometimes people who should pass a road test don't pass. Something goes wrong in the driving environment and the student is anxious, the student is nervous, or, you know, the stars just don't align. So I try to suggest to you not to take it personally if you're not successful on a road test. Yes, take a couple of days, be down, you know, sit on the couch, you know, complain about the world, eat potato chips and watch television, or do whatever you do to get over that and get on with your life. But after a couple of days, get off the couch and carry on with your life, because unfortunately we can't be successful all the time in life. And you know what they say, you know, fall down 7 times or fail 7 times and get back up 8 times. It's just that, keep getting back up. You know, it's like Thomas Wayne said to Bruce Wayne, his son. in Batman. Why do we fall down? We fall down so we can learn to pick ourselves up. And that is the most important thing about failure. And the other thing that I put on here on this slide is first impressions. Now, if you're going for a road test and you're not in a driving school car, think about first impressions. If you show up at the test center in a car that's dirty and the examiner gets in and the footwells are up to your knees with old, fast food wrappers and those types of things, it's not likely you're going to be successful on your road test, because you're going to form a first impression in the examiner's mind. So what I suggest to you is, if you're taking your personal vehicle down for a road test, go and clean it, go and vacuum it out, make sure that everything works. And there's a video here on the channel about pre-trip inspection for the purposes of going down for a road test. Make sure that you do a pre-trip inspection on your personal vehicle before you go for a road test, because you don't want to go down there and find out that you have a tail light out or a brake light and then you can't go out on your road test. Because if the car is not safe, for example, the passenger seatbelt doesn't work, the examiner's not safe, they can't go on the road test, and you will be denied your road test and have to rebook it. So make sure that the car is up to, is safe and can go on a road test. All right, for those of you who don't know me or haven't seen any of the videos on the channel or are new to the channel, my name is Rick August. I do have a PhD from the University of Melbourne. I graduated in 2006 with my doctorate in legal history. And for those of you who don't know, legal history is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. And my expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic. I drove truck in the 1990s for almost a decade throughout the States, throughout Canada. I'm a licensed, I wanted to come off the road, so I became a licensed driving instructor. I'm an air brake instructor. I was a licensed driving instructor in Ontario, and then I moved to Australia. I became an instructor in Australia. I never actually worked as a driving instructor in Australia, and then I came back to British Columbia, and I've worked for a period of time as a driving instructor here as well. When I was in Australia, I worked as a Greyhound bus driver, and I worked for the regional V line, which was, from Melbourne down to Ballarat and back through Bacchus Marsh and a couple of other places. So that was all fun, and I learned a lot about driving buses, and driving buses is a lot different than driving trucks, i.e. they run on schedules and those types of things. So that's basically who I am. Pass your road test first time. Make sure you have a look at this playlist. These are all the videos that you need, and somebody said they were having difficulties with stop signs and four-way stops. Those are definitely in this playlist. And this Learn to Drive video, this is for people who are just starting out. Go and get some of those 36-inch, 1-meter tall pylons. You can rent 4 of them for less than $10 for a day. Go down to the parking lot and practice slow speed maneuvers. And this video will give you exercises that you can do. And if you can do the reverse over the bit of 2x4 on the ground with the tires on the passenger side and the tires on the driver's side, excuse me, then you have good control of the vehicle. So you need to have control and mastery of the primary controls. And for those of you who have snow, for those of us in British Columbia, not so much in the east anymore, but this video in the playlist here, road test, taking your road test in the wintertime. And actually I've had people ask me whether they should take the road test in the wintertime or wait until spring or summer. No, definitely take your road test in the wintertime. Actually, it's a little easier to take your road test in the wintertime because it's not as exact, because you can't see road markings. You don't have to get right up against the curb because you don't want to get stuck in the snowbank, because I'll tell you right now, driving examiners do not like pushing cars out of snowbanks. So know that, all right? That it doesn't have to be exact. Okay, reason number 1 for not being successful on a road test. You are too cautious. You are not driving the speed limit. You're driving well below the speed limit. You're not going when the gap is available. And essentially what this says to the examiner is that you cannot drive. You have not practiced enough. So you need to practice enough that you can get the vehicle up to the posted speed limit as quickly as possible. The posted speed limit on main roads. Now, if you're in a suburban area where it's heavily populated, there's high pedestrian traffic, or there's lots of houses around, or fixed objects, or the roads are really narrow and there's lots of parked cars, then obviously you can't do the posted speed limit. However, on main roads, you need to get the vehicle up to speed as quickly as possible. And this is the biggest mistake that new drivers make, is they don't get the vehicle up to speed as quickly as possible. And being too cautious ties into the previous piece that I was talking about in terms of mastery of the primary controls and those types of things. And go out and practice slow speed maneuvers, 3-point turns, 2-point reverse turns, parallel parking, 2-point reverse turns, curb parking, and reverse stall parking. All of that will improve your overall driving and make you a better driver overall. Primary controls. We talked about this in terms of passing your road tests and preparing and learning how to drive. The steering wheel, the brake, the throttle, and the clutch. These are the primary controls. The clutch is only for those driving manual transmissions in Europe and other places in the world. Most of you in North America are going to be driving automatic vehicles, but you need to learn how to manipulate the primary controls. You need to know that the steering wheel goes 1.5 turns full, 1.5 full revolutions each direction, left and right, and you need to know where that is to know whether your tires are straight on the vehicle when you're parallel parking or reverse stall parking or whatnot. You need to have good use and good control of the brake and the throttle so that your ride is smooth and that it's not jerky and those types of things. And if you're driving a manual transmission, you have to have clutch control. You need to demonstrate to the driving examiner that you have clutch control. Clutch control is the basis of driving a manual transmission, and if you're learning how to drive manual transmission, definitely have a look at the playlist here on driving a manual transmission. There are 4 lessons. The first lesson teaches you clutch control and gives you 2 exercises that you need to master to know how to control the clutch, because if you can't control the clutch in a manual transmission, you're not going to be successful in moving on to the other lessons and moving the vehicle up and down the road. So you have to have good control of clutch control. As I stated in the introduction, the 4 components of any road test, regardless of class, are observation, communication, speed management, and space management. And observation is number 3 on the list of reasons that you're not going to be successful on your road test. And I've had many a smart driver come back on the road test, or back from the road test, and say that they were unsuccessful, unfortunately due to the fact that they didn't shoulder check. It doesn't matter where you are in the world on a passenger vehicle, and even most buses, because you can see 90 degrees out the 2 windows, you have to shoulder check. If you don't shoulder check, you are not going to be successful on a road test. I will guarantee you that. As well, you have to look far down the road. You have to monitor your gauges. The reason you have to monitor your gauges is because that is the fundamental skill for controlling speed, right? And maintaining speed at a constant one speed. So for example, 50 kilometers an hour, 30 miles an hour in the city on roads where the speed limit is that speed, or unless otherwise posted. All right, you need to look out the rear window when you're reversing, and you need to look before you put the vehicle in motion. That's the number 1 cause for backing crashes, is not looking before you start moving. And if you do that on a road test, you are not going to be successful. And you cannot use backup cameras on a road test. Now, I did have a smart driver tell me the other day that that's not true. In New Jersey, you can use a backup camera. I need to investigate that further and actually verify that information for you, because I don't want to send you to New Jersey and have you go on a road test and use a backup camera and not be successful on your road test. So let me check that out and I'll get back to you on that information. But at this juncture, that is the only place up to this point where I've heard you can use a backup camera. Otherwise, you got to look out the back window. And quite frankly, from my own experience and watching other people try to use backup cameras, unless you do it all the time, you're not going to be successful backing up. You need to look out the back window. You need to do 360-degree scans. You need to look forward. You need to employ all the skills and techniques you can to be able to back up, because backing up is difficult, even for veteran drivers. I was down with my mate Tim on the weekend, and he backed into a parking space, and we got out, and he's like, "Oh, the car's not straight." And he's, and Tim is what I consider an experienced driver. He's highly skilled at driving a vehicle. He used to race on the track, so he has a really good sense of spatial awareness and where his vehicle is and how fast the vehicle's going. So even those of us who are skilled still have challenges backing up. Vehicles are not designed to back up. We're not designed to back up. So you need lots of practice to be able to do that well. Reason number 4 for not being successful on a road test is not reading the road signs and not adjusting your driving to the information that is provided via those signs. And the number 1 sign that most drivers do not know what its meaning is on a road test or any other time are object marker signs, which are essentially the chevrons and the hash marks on them that tell you that there's a fixed object on the roadway and tell you which way to pass that fixed object. And you'll see those on the end of bridge abutments. That's probably the most prominent place that they are, and it tells you where the lanes are because it points and shows you where it is. And when you see those yellow cautionary rectangular signs, just think of a kettle pouring water onto the black hash marks, and wherever the water pours off, that's where you drive your vehicle. Okay, other signs that you're going to encounter: stop signs. You need to come to a complete stop at the correct stopping position for stop signed intersections. You need to stop before the stop line. If there's no stop line before the crosswalk, if the lines aren't painted out into the roadway, you need to extend the sidewalk out into the roadway. And if there's no stop line or crosswalk or sidewalk, then you need to stop where the two roads meet. School zone signs, you need to know the difference between school in the area or an actual speed zone for school zones. And you only have to obey school zones when school is in session. So if it's March break or summer holidays or Christmas holidays, then you don't have to obey the 30-kilometer-an-hour sign or the 20-mile-an-hour sign for those of you in the States and other places in the world. And then road markings, you can't cross over solid white lines. So know all of that information and be aware of the changing driving environment, and that you can respond accordingly from the information provided on signs. And number 5, this is a big one: striking a fixed object. If you back up into a parking space, for example, and many of these driving centers will have concrete barriers behind it so you don't drive into the building. If you strike that concrete barrier, that's an automatic fail on a road test. So what I tell students is it's better to be forward a little bit too far than to be back too far and strike the concrete barrier, because if you're ahead too far, all you're going to do is lose a couple of demerits. It's not going to be an automatic fail. Whereas if you strike something, you're going to have an automatic fail. And striking something is going to occur during turning, during parking, or any other time that you're maneuvering the vehicle. Slow speed maneuvers: if you bang into the curb on a parallel park and the body of the vehicle rocks on the chassis, that's a definitive fail. If you just touch the curb and you realize on a parallel park, this is what I'm talking about, and you just pull forward and adjust, you're not going to fail on that. But if you touch the curb, if you bang the curb or push the wheel up over the curb, then that's a definite fail. Okay, parking, you need to be able to park. And almost all passenger vehicle road tests, one of the things you're going to have to do is you're going to have to park the vehicle. You're going to have to do a reverse stall park. That's almost guaranteed on a road test. It doesn't matter where you take it in the world. So know that you're going to have to be able to put the car into a parking space. And then 3-point turn, or it's also referred to as a K turn or a Y turn. This is another one that's popular on road tests that you're going to have to do. And for those of you driving buses or driving commercial vehicles, there's different kinds of maneuvers, but you are going to have to park the vehicle at the driving center to do your pre-trip inspection. And I know that in Victoria it was a parallel park. It was a parallel park with a bus. It could be you just have to drive in and park along the curb and those types of things. So parking along a curb is something else that you have to do for the purposes of a road test. So know that if you strike something, that's an automatic fail on a road test. Okay, anything that is considered a dangerous action: if you block an intersection, if you stop too close to traffic when you come to a stop, if the examiner intervenes either by taking hold of the steering wheel or applying the brake, then that is an automatic fail on a road test. If you go to make a left-hand turn and there's insufficient gap, and again the examiner is probably going to intervene on this this dangerous action, then you're not going to be successful on a road test. Another time I had a student in Victoria doing a parallel park and backed up, and there was a big concrete wall next to where the parking space was. The student was going to back into the wall because the student didn't have any sense of where the vehicle was, and the vehicle got bent out of shape, and he was basically had it on the blind side and he couldn't see anything. So I intervened in the road test. As soon as I intervened in the road test, then the student was unsuccessful and the road test was over, unfortunately. So these are some of the dangerous actions. As well, if you break the law, if you blow through a stop sign, you don't observe correctly at a yield sign, you just plow into an intersection, all of these are going to be considered dangerous actions and you're not going to be successful on a road test. Number 7 is lane positioning. You need to have your vehicle centered in the lane. If you're wandering all over the lane or you're crossing over the lines or bumping the lines, eventually you're going to accumulate enough demerit points that you're not going to be successful on your road test. And definitely have a look at this video on changing lanes. Okay, when you're making a left-hand turn, after you make a left-hand turn, if the examiner doesn't indicate to you that right away you're going to make a left turn, excuse me, then you need to get over to the right lane. You need to drive in the right lane for the duration of your road test. And when you're turning left, you need to turn into the left lane and then merge right. And if you're turning right, you need to move right lane to right lane. Okay, merging, lane changes, and moving. And the other thing with lane positioning is anytime you move the vehicle, you need to communicate to other traffic that you are going to move the vehicle, i.e. signals, horns, lights, hand gestures, and appropriate hand gestures, not telling them number one. And as well, have your vehicle positioned in the right place. If you're going to turn left, you need to be in the left turning lane. If you're going to turn right, you need to be in the right lane to turn right. The position of your vehicle on the roadway communicates to other traffic your intentions and what you're going to do. So know all of that. All right? Lane positioning. There we go. Number 8, left turns. So you need to position the vehicle correctly. You need to get into the left turning lane. You can't block the intersection. If the light goes yellow, you need to clear the intersection as quickly as possible. And as I said, before you proceed through the intersection on the yellow light, make sure that that oncoming traffic is coming to a stop. Make sure that there is nobody running the red light or charging the yellow, as it's called, because you own the intersection. It's better for you to sit there and wait for the traffic to stop or clear the intersection and then go. If you go and there's insufficient gap, it's going to be considered a dangerous action. And know as well that the driving examiners are going to be very anxious if you go and there's insufficient gap, because he or she is going to be the one that is going to get T-boned. And as I've said before, T-bone crashes are the most dangerous, and if you have passengers in the vehicle on the left-hand turn and you get T-boned, it's probably going to be fatal for them if the oncoming traffic through the intersection is going at any speed. So know that as well, that left-hand turns are going to be one of your biggest challenges, because they're one of the highest risk maneuvers for the purposes of a road test. And you know, for those of you who are at complex intersections in urban areas, it's going to be challenging in those types of things. So make sure you get plenty of practices leading up to your road test. And again, I reiterate, 7 to 10 days before your road test, go and see a driving school. And you need to book this 3 weeks out, so that 7 to 10 days before your road test, go and do a mock road test with a driving instructor. Because driving instructors teach people how to pass a road test every day. All right, and they can identify those skills and abilities that need to be strengthened for the purposes of passing your road test and being successful, so that you don't, aren't failing a road test, because it's a real drag. Okay, and good luck on your road test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. And we'll see whether our comments are back here. Nope. All right, so what I'm going to do here is, okay, let's just get this going here. Okay, that back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh this, and we'll see what happens here. All right, there we go. So my comments came back. Sam is here. Jericho Arroyo. For those of you who don't know, Sam is from Rookie Auto Driving School in the Bronx, and he is a driving instructor. And last week we had a good discussion about the 5 boroughs in New York, for those of us who didn't know our geography and New York City and aren't watching enough movies. So there you go. Sandra. Okay, Sandra, I'm not familiar with what you're talking about. Violence during police traffic stops. Can you do a video of how to protect yourself and the police officer during a traffic stop? Can you give me just a little bit more detail about that, Sandra? And I'll definitely give that consideration. Okay, who else? Let's see. Crixus, you're most welcome. Sandra, how are you? Sam lost track of time. Mr. No, Yes, I got my Class B. That's awesome. That's for those of you who don't know, Class B is school bus, most associated with Ontario. But there are other places that have Class B as well. That's school bus. Some of the states have that as well. Okay. Irene, you don't have driving schools in Stanford, Kentucky. How big is Stanford, Kentucky, Irene? Just let me know that there. Norman passed his G license there in Ontario. That's really great. Yeah, Crixus. Yeah, no driving school. That's interesting. That's ripe for somebody to come in as a driving instructor and open a school there. Ashley. Ashley, that is not a slight against your character at all that you're 21 and don't know how to drive. There are lots of people on the channel here, lots of smart drivers who are older who are learning to get their license, and you know, so you're not alone in that. Okay. Quit Tom, you are most welcome. Thanks, Rick. You are most welcome, Sam. Sarab is my driving instructor, can accompany me in a driving test in Canada. No, Sarab, in Canada we do not, driving instructors don't go with students on a road test. You're by yourself. I know there are other places, and maybe some of the smart drivers will indicate where they are in the world, that driving instructors are allowed to go with them on the road test, because I have heard of that. And then for people like me who don't go with students, that's a little bit, that's different. Mr. B in California, and I want to know what I should look for in truck driving school for a Class A license. Mr. B, the most important thing about a truck driving school and going to a truck driving school, do you have the same driving instructor for the duration of your course? Because I've worked at driving schools, I've worked at 2 or 3 of them now, that they switch you around between students, and that is just, I hate that. I absolutely hate it, because I'll tell you right now, you show me 50 driving instructors, I'll show you 50 ways to drive a truck. Okay, so go to the driving school, ask them, do I have the same driving instructor for the duration of the course? If you have the same driving instructor for the duration of your tractor trailer course, that's the school you want to go to. Okay, that's my #1 priority in terms of looking for a driving school. If they switch you around between different instructors and they give you some story about, oh, you get lots of different experience and those types of things, tell them to just go to the next driving school, because it doesn't work, because it just doesn't work. Okay, I'm telling you that right now. Okay, Hamid, you are most welcome. Hillary, thank you. Okay, Hillary, I'm not following you what you're telling me there. Just reword that, please. Oh, okay, Sandra, I know what you're talking about. So what you're talking about, Sandra, is you're talking about when you're pulled over on the side of the road and the police officer comes up and they're standing there on the edge of the road and they're talking to you, getting your information, your license, and those types of things. That's what you're talking about? Just type yes there, or type smart in the comments, and I'll know, for example, because I can give you some information about how to protect yourself in the terms of you get pulled over by a police officer, and how to protect yourself and the police officer, because you're absolutely right. When you get pulled over on the side of the road, that is a very dangerous place to be. You don't want to be there, okay? There you go. See, Tommy, Ashley, that's great. Thanks so much for sharing that, Tommy. I got my G2 when I was 25, and I got my G when I was 29. I'm 37 now. That is really, see, you're not alone there. Joe, I take my driving test this weekend. I've been practicing and watching your videos like crazy. You give the most professional advice. Thank you so much, Joe. That is really, really nice. That is just really, really, I'm lost for words. It's really appreciated. Thank you so much. Okay, Randy, I failed in Staten Island. Too many different constructors. Okay, Sandra, yes. Thank you, Sandra. Yes, I'll make a follow-up video. I do have a video on getting pulled over and what you do and getting pulled over and those types of things. Now, one of the things I will say, Sandra, and I'll say this to all the smart drivers here, if you do get pulled over by police officers, you don't have to pull over right away. You can go down. If you're safe, for example, you're on the interstate, you can pull down and pull off on the exit or whatnot. If you're in town, pull into a parking lot somewhere, into a gas station or someplace like that. Just try and get off the road, because it is really dangerous. I've been broken down a few times on the side of the interstate or on the side of a highway. It is not a place you want to be out there standing around, because people do not move over. People do not, they just don't give you room, and there's very little margin for error there. So help out the police officers. The police officers will really appreciate that. They'll just follow you down there, and it just helps them to be safe and keeps them safe as well, because they appreciate that and those sorts of things. So Sam, yes, you're absolutely right, Rick. Students get confused when they get different driving instructors. Yes, they do. I had a student that wanted every instructor. Well, I don't understand that. And the other thing, Sam, I mean, it's one thing in a passenger vehicle. You think they get confused in a passenger vehicle. Get them into a tractor-trailer unit, and you get one driving instructor telling them one thing and another driving instructor telling them another thing, and then you get students in the vehicle, in the truck with you, and they're like, well, Bill told me I didn't have to do that, and you're just like, oh, whatever, come on. It's too hard on the student, and it's too hard on you as the instructor. Okay, Sandra, you're most welcome. Anything we can do to shore up safety when we're driving in those teams. Shimmer. Yes, it's okay to blast music. If you're on the freeway and you're on cruise control and there is very little traffic around, yes, blare the music and drive down the road and those types of things, because that's just the best thing in the world, is just being on a big road trip and having music on. And just while we're here, the smart drivers who are here on the channel, tell me your best song that you like to play in the car while you're out on the highway, you're out on the freeway, and you're on a kind of a long trip and those types of things. Just let me know here in the comments which one you like. Okay, let's see. Matt, my brother's 25 years old and he just got his license. So see, there we go. Other people, Ashley, who are also older, who are getting their license. And the other note I'll say about that, Ashley, is lots of people live in big urban areas now. I mean, I lived in Australia for 7 years, and I never had a car the whole time I was in Australia, because I lived in Melbourne, and we were close to one of the transit routes, one of the tram routes, one of the main tram routes, and the tram ran every 8 minutes. I mean, you didn't even have to look at a schedule. I mean, if you live in New York City, you're going to have public transport. You're going to get in a cab. You're going to be delayed in getting a license. So if you get your license later on, it's not a huge deal. So I mean, for some of us like myself who now live in Vernon, British Columbia, where we barely have transit, I mean, you pretty much have to have a car. And as well, I got 2 little kids, and the grocery store is a long ways away. So it depends whether you need to get a license or not, because sometimes you can get away with not having a license. All right. Okay, Mr. No. Oh, Crazy Train. There we go. That's a great song. Hillary, no, don't use your left foot for braking. You want to use your right foot for the throttle and for the brake. Okay. Frank's favorite song is Africa by Toto. That's a great song too. I listen to audiobooks, don't listen to the radio anymore. Black Zeus, yes, that's what I do as well. Sometimes I do listen to the radio, Black Zeus, but audiobooks, I definitely listen to a lot of audiobooks. And the last trip that I was on, I listened to Grant Cardone. I didn't even know who Grant Cardone was. He's one of the top financial experts in the world, and he had some really, really good information. It was a really good audiobook that I listened to. Crixus, no, speeding is not an automatic fail on a road test. If you speed and you get it back to the posted speed limit quickly, then that's not gonna be an automatic fail. If you do speed for a long time, if you're consistently over 5 or 10 miles an hour or 5 or 10 kilometers an hour, then yes, you're gonna be unsuccessful on your road test. But if it's only for 30 seconds or 40 seconds and you get it back, then you're gonna be okay on your road test. Matt, why did I move to Australia for 7 years? I married an Australian. She was from Melbourne. So that's why we moved to Australia. Plus, when we got married, we lived in Ontario for... how long did we live in Ontario? We lived in Ontario for 18 months. And then I got accepted to go to graduate school at the University of Melbourne. So that's when we went to Australia. So that's where I got my doctorate. Ash... Yes, that's really great. I'm glad that we were able to help you out there. Okay, Brian. Yeah, Brian. I'm 28 and taking my road test 2 weeks from now. That is really great. Yep, Black Zeus. It's a really good book. Grant is he is a high energy person for sure. What is considered an automatic fail? Sandra, just about anything is a dangerous action is an automatic fail. If you fail to stop, if you do something consistent, for example, you don't shoulder check for the duration of the road test, you're not going to be successful on your road test. Anything that's a dangerous action, if you pull out in front of another car or another car has to brake, the examiner intervenes in the vehicle, applies the brake or takes hold of the steering wheel, those are all automatic fails. If you block an intersection, you're not going to be successful on a road test. So those are some of the things that could cause you to automatically fail your road test. Epic, nice, and I did fail my road test by hitting the cones. Perhaps the video should help me out with that scenario. Yes, so if you do, yeah, if you hit the cones, unfortunately, you're not going to be successful. Kels Byer, what's the best way to pass your road test first try? Kels, practice. Lots of practice, okay? Make sure you practice, follow the videos here on the Pass Your Road Test playlist, and then book a road test book a mock road test 3 weeks out with a driving school, and then 7 to 10 days before you go for your road test, go and do a mock road test with a driving instructor, and if you're not taking lessons, that is, and that driving instructor will be able to give you specific information about the skills that need to be improved for the specific location where you're going to be taking your driving test, because different driving authorities have different nuances of what they want you to do and those types of things for the purposes of your road test. Okay, Prashanth, you're gonna pass. You're gonna do great. No, do not, like I said, so unfortunately sometimes people who should pass a road test are not successful because of nerves and those types of things. So don't take it personally. Do take a day or two and be depressed, watch television, complain about the world, be miserable, be negative, eat lots of Doritos and marshmallows, but don't beat yourself up about it. Failure is not terminal, okay? It's just a way of learning about the world. It's as my karate sensei used to say, one of his best sayings was, there's no learning in winning. We don't learn anything when we win. There's learning in failure. We learn how to pick ourselves up. We learn what we did wrong, and we become stronger. And one of the fundamentals of being successful in life is increasing the length of your string, increasing the length of your rope, as they say in martial arts. And essentially what they're saying is that you're making your skills better, you're making yourself stronger, and you're improving what you can do. And when you're unsuccessful in a road test, you evaluate what you did wrong, and then you get better, and then you succeed, right? It's like my live feeds, right? I mean, my live feeds look great now, but when I started 20 live feeds ago, I mean, the first time I did a live feed, my computer was too old, my internet connection was too slow, it just didn't work, and the whole thing just tanked. And it got a little better, but I was not satisfied with it for 20 feeds, and now I'm getting there, but it's an evolution, and know that you got to practice, you got to do it, and you got to get better, okay? So Matt, there, excellent. Matt took a couple of times to be successful on his road test. Kels, you need you're talking about a passenger vehicle. You need you're allowed 40 demerits, I believe, on. No, that's a commercial vehicle. Okay, Sam, you might be able to help me with this. How many demerits are you allowed on a passenger vehicle that you're not successful on the road test? Okay, we'll just ask Sam that. He'll know that for a fact. What are the penalties for driving on a suspended license? Yeah, Generation, you don't want to do that, okay? So, yeah, don't get pulled over or caught by that. Go and get your license. Wait until you get your license back, okay? Nura, I tried to drive the manual car. It was crazy. I can't focus on a lot of things in the same time. I prefer the automatic. Okay, Nura, have a look at the lessons here and go to a parking. You need a parking lot. You need to focus on just getting the car going. And there's 2 lessons that you need to work on in the parking lot with the manual car before you get going. Okay, Generation, what is the demerit? Okay, so every time you do something wrong or the driving examiner considers that you didn't do something up to the standard that they want you to do it at, they're going to assign points to you. So for example, say you went around on a left-hand turn and you didn't shoulder check. You're going to lose 2, you're going to get 2 points, 2 demerit points for not shoulder checking on a left-hand turn. That's what demerits are. And so say for example you cross over on a solid white line, the driving examiner will have a certain amount of points that they're going to assign to that, and you're allowed so many points against you, and then once you hit that threshold, then you're not successful on your road test. So it's not an automatic fail, but it's an accumulation of demerits where you're not going to be successful on your road test. Okay. There you go. Okay, so Corey, if I'm recalling correctly, in Winnipeg, Manitoba, here in Canada, you're allowed 10 minor errors and 0 major errors, okay? Brian, if you don't see the speed limit in the city, it is 30 miles an hour, 40 Let me say that again, I'll start over. The speed limit inside the city is 50 kilometers an hour or 30 miles an hour. The speed limit outside of the city is 80 kilometers an hour, 50 miles an hour, unless otherwise posted. So if you didn't see the speed sign and you're inside the city, just do 50 kilometers an hour, 30 miles an hour. If you're outside the city, do 80 until you see the next speed sign. The driving examiner can't really ding you for that. They can assign a couple of demerits, but you're not going to fail for that. Okay, so just err on the side of caution and do what that speed limit is, okay, inside the city or outside the city. Yeah, don't ask the driving examiner, just do that speed limit. Prashanth, I used to drive a manual in India until I returned to Canada 5 months ago. Yeah, Prashanth, it's just like riding a bicycle. Once you learn how to drive a manual transmission, then you're going to continue to be able to do that. You know, it's like... you know, me getting in a big truck. I haven't been in a tractor trailer unit for 2 years now, and I can get back in a tractor trailer and just do it. It's like riding a bicycle. You're not gonna forget how to do it. So you're gonna be great. Okay, so there's Sam. You will pass a road test here in New York if you get 30 points or less. Once you get 35 points or more, you do not meet standards for licensing. There you go. So it's 30 points. On a passenger vehicle in New York, and I think I can posit that that is fairly standard across the board. I think it's about 30 demerit points that you're allowed for a passenger vehicle. Now I know for a big truck it's 60 demerits on a big truck, and I think for a bus it's about 40 demerit points. Okay. Crixus, yes. Bricks for Wheels, that's Corey, and he is the moderator here. He also does some work for me as well. So Corey is really great, and he's awesome at moderating and keeping all the bad people out who say terrible things. And he's also really awesome at getting the videos that are here on the channel that gives you further information for the questions that you guys are asking me. So there you go. So we're just about an hour here. I'm going to wrap this up. If you like the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. You know, leave comments down in the comment sections. I do try and get to the comments as much as I can. And if I don't get to you, just ask me the question again because I will get to you. Right now, I'm up against a deadline. I'm working on a post-crash analysis. I do consulting work as well. For a law firm, and unfortunately I'm working on a really kind of awful case where a kid got off a transit bus and walked around in front of the transit bus and got hit by a pickup truck that was passing the transit bus. So I'm working on that right now this week. So I'm really busy because I have a deadline for the 1st of February to get that report done, and it's been a lot of work. So that's what I'm working on right now, but I'm trying to get the videos done, keep going here. And I went down to Victoria this weekend, and Tim and I got a lot of work done on the website, so we're working on that as well. And just trying to get really good videos and information out for all the smart drivers here on the channel and those types of things. So my intro flashes generation, when you say intro flashes, I'm not following what you're saying there. Okay, there we go. Prashanth, driving automatic is fun. It's just the rules over here. Not that I don't like following rules. I use strict. It's just the rules. Yes, the rules are. I'm sure that the rules are quite different here than they are in India. Okay. Paul, hopefully you make a highlights video. I missed the video. Yes, Paul, I'll definitely make a highlights video. I've realized that they get lots of interest, so I'm definitely going to have a look at that. Prashanth, you are most welcome. Vince, yes, thank you so much. God bless you as well. Tommy, thank you. That's really great. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Congratulations to everybody who... Yes, spot for the course. I didn't do that, Corey. The Pass Your Road Test First Time is available over at the website. As I said, we're changing over some of the e-commerce stuff, so we're fixing that up. So if you want to pass your road test first time, look down in the coupon box there. You get 30% off. You pick the course up for about 28 bucks as well. So head over there and pick that up. Oh, okay, Generation. It's supposed to do that. Oh, okay. I'm laughing, Generation, because we fixed that recently in the last few videos. My friend Tim just picked on me for some time. Yes, the mouse button in the bottom of the video flashes in the bottom. I now know what you're saying. Yes, so for the first 200 videos, that was there. We now have fixed that, so that it doesn't do that anymore. Okay. Matt, have a good night. Generation, yeah, okay. Like I said, Generation, all of this has been an evolution, and we're getting there, we're getting better, so that's what happened with that. Okay. You are most welcome, Beast. That's really great. Thanks for that. Jamie, definitely have a look at the winter driving playlist here. Lots of great information here for that as well. Okay, and Corey's put up the information there for the tips for the Pass Your Road Test First Time. Thanks for reminding me for that. Bantu is in Ottawa. Generation, thank you so much. Pointing out my introduction and helping me to fix that. So good luck to everybody taking a road test this week. Congratulations to everybody who passed a road test last week. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.